Welcome, everyone. I'm glad that you could all join us for the Insurtech NY final showcase. And actually, this event is a kind of unique event because this day today is a confluence of three things all happening at the same time. So what most of you are here for and have been involved in the program from the very beginning is Insurtech NY's 2021 Accelerator. This is our second cohort to the Accelerator, and you're seeing the startups in full blossom. The second piece of the event is our visitors from Israel. So I want to thank Kobe for bringing not just the 5 startups that are presenting, but 8 Israeli Insurtech startups that were part of their Accelerator program. And then, so even those not pitching, please make sure that you visit them and spend some time getting to know them. And the last component is actually our public events. So for those of you that are interested in staying beyond this event, starting at 5:30, we're going to have our public event on integrating data to save lives. So all 3 events, all packed into one day, you get your money's worth. So I want to share a little bit about the Accelerator for those of you who are new to it and are not necessarily familiar with it. So we started our Accelerator last year, and really the vision behind our Accelerator was to pick up the gap for startups, because most of the Accelerator programs out there focus on early stage startups. So startups that have an idea on the back of a napkin to the point where they have an MVP and maybe 1 customer. But we realized that there's a long distance between having an MVP of a customer and getting all the way to exit. So we wanted to fill in that gap and really be the growth stage oriented accelerator to help startups that once they get some early traction, to parlay that traction into the next level and really to bring the community together, not just in New York, but globally. So for those of you that made it into our Accelerator, I'm really honored to have you. We had 142 startups apply to our Accelerator, and the competition was stiff. We're very fortunate to have 7 extremely helpful members, our insurance carrier and broker members, who spent the time to go through the applications and select the startups that were the best match for them. So for our program, we don't pick startups just purely off of their potential, but we pick the ones that we know can get the help and support from the members of our program and also the mentors in our program. So all of those startups were chosen. There are 15 startups in our cohort. 9 of them will be presenting today. You'll also have the opportunity, like I said, to hear from some startups in the Israeli Insurtech Accelerator and from the French Embassy cohort and from our last year Accelerator. So I will share with you our agenda next. So our agenda coming up is basically from now until 4, with a couple breaks interspersed. So you'll see where we are now is the welcome introductions. We'll have a panel session to get you guys warmed up and start to think from the mindset of the investors. So we have 4 excellent investors that Tony will be introducing that will share what happens behind the scenes. So once you submit your pitch deck, what's going on in the heads of the investors under those decks behind the scenes when they're thinking about you. So really excited to be able to hear from our panelists today. Then we'll invite this current cohort. We'll take a short break. We'll go into the French Embassy cohort, and then we'll have the 5 Israeli startups to present, and we'll do a wrap up. And then of course, everyone here is welcome to stay with us through the evening for the integrating data event. So I will ask Tony to invite our panel up. Panelists, if you want to take your seats.
Okay, great. So got 6 mics today. I think that's the most we had ever. So I'm glad it's actually working. All right, so let me introduce the speakers today. Those who are watching me from virtually, you're probably not seeing me, but that's okay. First is Matt Perman, who's a partner at IA Capital Group. served on several Insurtechs, including Certificial and Flywheel. Matt is a Columbia Business School grad and previously served as a principal at Fenway Summer, a hybrid investment and advisory firm in fintech. Next is Matthew Jones, is a managing director at Anthemis, focused on Insurtech and risk management. He joined us from London. Matt serves as a board member for Hedvig, Balance Re, Onsite IQ, and other Insurtechs. Next is Stephanie, who's a principal at NYCA Partners, where she focuses on fintech. Previously, Stephanie was an investment banker at Goldman Sachs in the financial institution group. And our final speaker, Noah, is an operating partner at Bain Capital Ventures with a deep background in fintech. Noah has cycled between the East Coast, West Coast, and London across tech companies. Most recently, Noah was the CEO and chairman of On Deck Capital, where he helped build the business from early stage to public company. And our own David Gritz will be moderating this panel. Go ahead, David.
Thanks, Tony. Really honored to be joined by, I would say, the Insurtech investor elite of New York. So thanks all of you. And I know, Nat, that you're a little bit of a transplant, but we accept Londoners here. So there's three things that we're going to cover on the panel today. First is looking at startup discovery. Second, we'll go into thinking about due diligence. And finally, we'll talk about terms. So I think since Noah, since you're sitting right next to me, I think why don't we start with you? So Noah, I know that you have a pretty broad mandate with Bain Ventures, and you kind of go across the life cycle of startups. So how much of the way that you discover startups or you focus on them is driven by a thesis or a belief you have in the market versus some of the earlier stage feeders or traditional processes?
You know, it's a great question, and thanks for having me and all of us today. So we actually did kind of a team offsite this summer where we felt like we were being bombarded too much by deals from the outside world. I think the venture business has picked up in velocity and size and has a frenetic pace to it now. That's really something I haven't seen before in 20 years of building venture-backed companies. So we decided that we had to move towards a more thematic approach to help filter through the noise, to make sure that we're comfortable letting certain pitches go by if they're not really on theme for us. So we sort of stack ranked, I would say 15 or so different themes, top to bottom, from, things we're super passionate about to middle of the road to what we called anti-themes, where it would have to be the most superlative investment opportunity ever. But there was a lot of debate, and we really do view it as a continuum. So Bain Capital Ventures also has investments in about 60 feeder funds, so seed stage funds all over, fintech, but some of the other sectors we invest in as well. And I think, if you're too thematically driven, you're going to miss things that are happening before you're aware there needs to be a theme or a descriptor around it, right? So you need to be exposed to kind of the ambient startup creation that's going on. But I think if you don't have any prepared mind on what you'd like to see and where you're excited about investing, you're going to spend a lot of time chasing rainbows and really working on such a disparate set of companies. You're not going to leverage the work, that you put into and really understanding a sector or a trend. So I think it's a balance. We try to do some of both at BCV, and so far so good, but it's a constant push pull.
Yeah, no, I find that really interesting that you have the feeder funds that you invest in. So you have a stake in the earlier stages. But I would love to see your anti-thesis list and some of the esoteric topics that entrepreneurs bring to you. So I guess next in line, why don't we give Steph a chance to share? So one of the things that investors find is very valuable is opportunities to meet startups before it's in an investment context like our day here today. So Steph, from your perspective, how important is the balance between meeting people ahead of time and kind of judging them and getting warm intros versus if a founder cold outreaches to you?
Yeah, thank you. So I would say it definitely is incredibly helpful to know a founder ahead of time. It's nice to get to know someone, get to know what their business idea is, how they work, without actually having to, make a decision instantly. And that means that there's no pressure on either the investor or the founder while you're kind of exploring those relationships. So where we can, we do like to meet founders early, and, fintech being the way it is. And, I use fintech broadly to include Insurtech as well. Certainly because we invest at the earlier seed and Series A stages, we're finding that oftentimes you need to find founders even before they've left their day jobs nowadays, which makes it a little bit more tricky, but it also does take that pressure off because you're talking to someone while they're still ideating. You can help them think through, what are the best ways to structure the business model, the idea, and it's also, a little bit more low stakes because they haven't left their job yet and there's not, a tangible opportunity on the table yet. But all that said, I would still say that we often do invest in, companies and founders where we haven't met them before and we don't have a relationship with them. So, don't be disappointed and don't think you're precluded from getting a good investor on board just because you haven't met them before. We will often, do a lot of back channeling from a founder background perspective to get a sense of who they are as people. And the more people that you've interacted and worked with in the past that we can, speak to get a good reference on you, that's also incredibly helpful.
Yeah, so it looks like it's not just those in the front of the room that matter, but those sitting next to you that can be references for Steph are probably pretty important too. So good reason to network. So the next section, really talking to both Matts, but we'll start with Matt Perlman and then get Matt Jones' perspective. So a lot of times startups have to decide how are they going to spend their time. Are they going to join this accelerator? Are they going to join that competition? Are they going to go after this press opportunity? So what do you believe are some of the most important stamps of approval that give you signs or signals that there's something there or a place to discover a startup? Or maybe try Steph's mic. Yeah, you got it.
Better? Yep. All right, I'll trade. Thank you. Yeah, so first of all, thank you, David, for having me. It's great to be here. And that's a great question. I'll try not to steal too much of Matthew Jones's thunder and not trying to ramble on too long because I see the timer and I don't want to get cowbelled. But so in terms of kind of stamps of approval or validation of incoming rounds, I certainly would echo Stephanie's comments on getting to know founders early. We generally don't do seed investing, but even at the Series A and Series B level, where we do generally participate, it's often helpful to establish a relationship early and kind of establish some, put a stake in the ground. Hey, here's what I'm going to do, and then kind of check in with that founder sometime later and see if they in fact did that. And then in terms of the background of the founder or founders themselves, clearly, a track record of successfully building companies before and or some prior relevant insurance industry expertise. So we are primarily Insurtech focused, and we do put a lot of value on having kind of that insider understanding of how things work, what the barriers are going to be, how you plan to overcome them, as opposed to sort of the attitude of like, insurance companies are all stupid, we're going to come in and disrupt everything immediately, which you don't see as much of that nowadays, now that we're a little bit coming in the second or third inning of Insurtech. But I think, David, your question is probably more along the lines of like, where do the best leads come from? So in terms of that, I would say the highest quality leads generally for us come from founders that we've worked with before successfully, and other investors whom we respect and who know a lot about fintech and Insurtech, which I would certainly include everybody on this stage. I see Jonathan Crystal in the audience, somebody we've worked with a lot and who's incredibly deep in insurance and experienced, and frankly should probably be up here on stage instead of me. So somebody you should definitely get to know if you don't. And then industry references too are really important because oftentimes by the time a theme becomes established in Insurtech, there's like 3, 4, 5 or more other companies doing something pretty similar. And so to have kind of an industry practitioner with hands-on experience, be able to make a comparative statement that, hey, we looked at X, Y, and Z companies, here are the advantages and disadvantages of each. I think that stuff that's gold for us. And then, there are also high quality accelerators. Certainly this one, Insurtech New York. I could probably rattle off a dozen others that we think are great, but I will inevitably snub somebody, so I'm not going to do that.
Well, Certainly appreciate the shout out. And I think for those of you thinking about how to build your board now, you have a secret trick in here that if you're interested in IA Capital, look at who they had a previous exit with. And that sounds like a really good advisor for you. But so we'll give Matt Jones a chance to share, but I think what would be interesting if you could talk a little bit about the EMEA perspective, and are there different proof points that are valuable for you to see from EMEA, startups in the Middle East and in Europe, or is it roughly the same as the US and maybe a couple places that you go to look to?
Yeah. Can you? Yeah. So first of all, thanks for having me. I think I don't, just on the subject of accelerators and so on, I don't really care how you're spending your time, as long as how you're spending your time is in the service of your 2 or 3 North Star metrics. So one of the things that we do in our diligence process is we ask, what are you working towards? Like, what are you actually trying to achieve in this very compressed 12 to 18 month period? And is it GWP, for example? Is it, we've got to get our loss ratio under control? Is it something else entirely? And if you can participate in an accelerator or you can get involved with something, and that is ultimately in the service of those metrics, great, that's absolutely fine. On the subject of, you know, EMEA, and I mean, I think many venture firms in Europe are modeling themselves on what they see in the US. And so in many ways, the practices are very, very similar to in Europe to what we see in the US. But I don't think there's anything kind of, there are no secrets or tricks of, you know, everything that the panel here has said is, it kind of holds true across regions.
Well, it's good to know for those Israeli Insurtechs here and the French contingent that you can follow the same advice across the panel. So we'll go back to Matt Perlman and we'll transition into due diligence. So a lot of startups, they've gone through one fundraising round, and then in their next round, when it's either their Series A or their Series B, now they're a little more mature, they're a little more established, they might actually be able to provide you with a deal room. So once they open up the deal room to you, can you share at a high level, what are the steps that your team takes to go through that due diligence process, and what are some of the key things you're looking for?
Sure. I would say even before we get in the deal room, the first thing that we try to do is the initial meeting with. There we go. Okay, sorry. Oh, this one's good. Okay. Three microphones seems excessive. Exactly. So we try to have like an initial meeting with the management team just to establish, is this something that kind of fits the box for us? Is it the right size, stage, thematic fit, kind of revenue threshold, founding team, background, geographies? We do focus on really only on North America opportunities. And that usually happens with me or one of my other colleagues. I think our associate Ravi Shah is going to be here a bit later. He's a total rock star, and you should get to know him as well. And I'll probably be working for him someday, so put in a good word for me, please. And then, so once we do establish that, then we'll get in the data room a little bit, and we're looking for kind of some signs of kind of growth, product market fit, unit economics, just to make sure that it's plausible that we would get there. If it looks something promising, we'll bring in the whole team, which is 5 people for us, and then relatively quickly, I think we can get a feel for, is this going to be a plausible opportunity, and then we're kind of going a level deeper in diligence on product and tech, financial projections, sales and marketing strategy, team, things of that nature. Basically, what we're trying to do is just answer the existential business diligence questions before we get to the term sheet stage, because once we do offer a term sheet or make a commitment to a round, we want to have a really, really high closing rate. And we also don't want to burn a lot of a founder's time unnecessarily, because that's the last thing we want to do at that stage. So, and then after we kind of make a commitment or offer terms, then it's more of the nitty gritty confirmatory due diligence, financial, accounting, tax, HR, IT, security, things of that nature.
certainly appreciate your concern for founders' time, because I know some of the venture capitalists, probably not in this room, don't always respect the founders' time equally to theirs. So appreciate that. So moving over to Steph and Noah, I think maybe Steph, you could start us off in terms of the human aspect of it, right? There's a lot of great things that you can see in a business plan, in their sales pipeline. You could also see in terms of looking at their fronting relationships, but ultimately when it comes down to it, it's the founders. So how do you view the balance between evaluating founders and teams maturity versus what you're looking through in terms of the documents?
So recall that we are early stage investors at NICA, so I think it's a much different view to what Noah may have at Bain. But effectively, because at the seed and Series A stage nowadays, there isn't necessarily too much that we can dig into. Like, we often don't see a deep data room where there's, financial statements and a sales and marketing plan and tech architecture and everything. And so a lot of what we're betting on is definitely you as the founders. So we want to know that you know exactly what you're doing, that you have the ability to hire a team. So you could have someone who's really, really capable, but we also want to know that you can inspire people to come and work for you as well. We want to know, especially I think more so for Insurtech than FinTech broadly, understanding the space is pretty important to being able to figure out how to navigate the landscape. And that's not to say that we don't have founders in our portfolio who didn't come from an Insurtech background and are building, significant Insurtechs, but you need someone on your team who has that skill set and that, deep kind of domain expertise. So that's always helpful. And I would say broadly too, as founders, when you're pitching to the investors, you also need to read the room. If you're speaking to a bunch of people who already know Insurtech, relatively well, there's no need to spend time on sort of pitching the industry landscape and why this is such a big opportunity. Oftentimes, I think we would much rather spend that time and go straight into the weeds to understand all the nitty-gritty of the business. And that's to save, both sides some time as well, because obviously, finding the right investor for you is very much like speed dating, and a lot of time is invested in it. And we want to be conscious of that time as well.
Yeah, appreciate the speed dating analogy. For those of us who were part of our selection day, you got to all be a part of that for a little bit. So I guess, Noah, kind of the angle for you is, as being a founder yourself and really taking on deck from little company to a public company, where do you see a point where founders themselves need to bring in help, whether it's a CFO that has public company experience, or it's a founder that needs to have a bigger, badder insurance background behind them? So where do you see that coming in, and how do you measure the ego, whether you believe that they will be able to make that sacrifice of their own power in the organization?
That's a very interesting final part of the question. I'm not sure we have a formula yet for measuring ego in founders. You actually want some amount of ego in founders, and because it's a bit of a, against all odds type journey, right? There's lots of people who are telling founders all the time, you're not going to make it, we're not going to do this deal with you, you're not big enough yet. And so you need someone who is resilient and kind of believes that they hold all the cards, even when the universe may be telling them that they don't. In terms of that team question, it really does depend on stage. And we do look at, as Steph noted, companies at the earlier stages as well as the late stages. At the earlier stages, we really are assessing the quality of the founding team. And it comes back to, I recommend for founders, one, don't let that pitch meeting with the VC be the first time you've met them. I love meeting people who are off cycle from their fundraise and talking to them in a casual way, getting a sense of where they're taking the business. We did that a lot at On Deck over the years. Almost every major round, I had met that investor 6 months before, a year before, casually, and then ramped up the interactions as we got closer to the fundraise. And then when it comes time to pitch, I'm still kind of amazed. Not only do you have to read the room, you have to practice. And sometimes people come in and they're just not ready. And it's totally unfair that a group of people is going to judge you and your company based on like a half hour or 1 hour performance. That is just the reality, because so much of the early stage is assessing founder quality, and only one of the partners in the room is going to be the person who really knows you well. There's a whole bunch of other folks who have to make kind of a snap decision. One question I love to ask in meetings, getting to your second part of your question, is what executive roles are open for you right now? And then you just sort of sit back and listen. And the reason why is it gives you a strong sense of, one, do they have folks on their team today that are underperforming? Two, where they see the opportunities, maybe they need to bring someone in to take advantage of a strategic inflection in the market. And you're looking for that balance. Ideally, what you don't want to hear is my whole team sucks. I'm the only person who knows what's going on here, and I got to can them all, right? That's bad. What you also don't want to hear is everyone here is perfect, and I don't need to change out a single person until I'm a publicly traded company. So you're looking for that balance of objective evaluation of the strengths of your current team, coupled with kind of a view towards what are the skill sets you need to take the company to the next level. And I think getting to what I look for, it's that balance, I think, in that view, because it's also a warning sign when founders don't talk up their own team, right? If they're not proud of folks who are on the team already, that says something, but you also want an objective view of what skill sets are needed to take it to the next level.
Yeah, so definitely a takeaway question for you guys to all ponder in terms of what executive roles are still open. So we'll go over to the Matt's duo for our last question on due diligence. So we'll start with Matt Jones on this one. And I think ultimately, a lot of times people think about the investors themselves, but don't think about the investors that invest in the VC funds. So I know both of you guys have limited partners that are insurance carriers. So what do you do? I guess we'll start with Matt Jones, to get them involved or to bring in some outside experts to help you with the due diligence that come from their organizations.
So there we go. So we occasionally bring in our investors. So we're fortunate enough to be backed by a range of insurance companies around the world. We will occasionally bring them in for specific pieces of expertise. It won't surprise you to know that some of those meetings end and the insurance company will say, wow, you shouldn't make this investment. This is terrible. And we will absolutely make that investment. And sometimes they say, no, this is a great investment. You should absolutely do this. And we will absolutely not make that investment. So they are contributors to the process, but we do not take what they say as golden. We will selectively engage with third parties to help us on very specific topics. So, for example, if you are in, if you're in property, if you're a property insurance company, I will get one of my friends who's a reinsurance treaty underwriter to go and have a chat with you and to dig into the specifics of how you've structured some of your agreements. We will bring in certain folks on, actuarial and topics like that. Because we are sector focused, we tend to do a lot of that ourselves, but in certain cases, we do greatly benefit from bringing in external kind of view. So that's how we approach it.
Yeah. So I got Matt Perlin. You want to add anything in terms of not just the perspective of bringing them in, but how about managing your portfolio? How do you bring them in to help existing companies that you've invested in?
Yeah, I don't have a ton to add to what Matt said on the kind of investing side. We have about a very similar model to Anthemis. Actually, we have about 20 insurance carriers in our fund that are the difference being we're mainly North America focused, but it's across all lines of insurance. And we do take their feedback into account, not only our LPs, but our other friends in the industry. It's also not kind of dispositive one way or the other necessarily, but just kind of part of a broader picture. And then post investment, we try to make useful introductions, right? We're not going to try to pressure somebody into working with anybody else, but we try to be thoughtful about understanding our LP's strategic priorities and where they might be interested in a particular company. We make the introduction and then kind of step out of the way.
Yeah, so we're almost out of question time, but I think we have to get at least one juicy question in there. So we're going to go to our last section, which is focused on term sheets and deal breakers. I know Noah had one in mind, but can anyone on the panel share a story of a last minute deal breaker? You got almost to the signing point and then it just fell apart. No names required.
All right, well, I'll take it. No names. So many meetings with management, high conviction, partner references, data room, everything checks out. LTV to CAC looks good, feeling very, very strong. And like an idiot, I didn't call this one person in the industry who I knew would have a good perspective until very, very late in the game. And this was a person who had acquired the former startup of this entrepreneur that we were evaluating at the moment. And so I made that call very late in the game and received, I've done a lot of reference calls in my career. This was maybe the bottom reference call. And it was really about how the entrepreneur in question had acted after the company had been acquired, and kind of some of the ethics and maybe some bad judgment, and there's enough stuff that no matter how amazing this business was, you couldn't look a partnership in the eye and be like, I heard all these things and I still wanted to invest. So I think the takeaway of it is, if any of you in your past have burned bridges anywhere, like, we might find them. And so if you ever need to send someone a fruit basket or something to, smooth over a relationship with a former boss or someone who you did business with before, there's something to that, because these things do come out, and back channel references, whether I was hiring executives for my last company or now evaluating these investment opportunities, you place a high weight on them. And you're generally calling people who have no interest in being negative, right? They have no vested interest in this. It's just but they feel in good conscience that they don't want to see you make an investment in someone that they don't think you should be working with. So that to me was the one that, acts to deal that kind of the 11th hour. And I got an adrenaline rush when I heard it, because I was like, oh my God, I have to stop everything that's going on. And literally there was a guy with a giant Excel spreadsheet open doing all the numbers. I was like, stop working. We're all going in a room right now. We're going to talk about this before we do any more work. So anyway, for what it's worth.
Yeah. So parting thought, don't burn any bridges. So I want to thank all 4 of our panelists for joining us. And hopefully the room got some parting thoughts to think about as you're listening to the pitches to the startups and inhibit these characteristics. Thanks. So in the spirit of pitching, Tony and I thought it would be appropriate, before you hear pitches from the startups, to give our little commercial of what we're doing for the industry. So we partnered with CB Insights and Conning Research to create the Insure Collaboration Index. And the idea behind it is, in this industry, unlike other industries, it's very important between the relationships of insurance carriers and Insurtechs, whether it's a client-vendor relationship, or it's a capacity provider relationship, or it's an investor-startup relationship. Those are essential, and those are the gears that makes Insurtechs work. So we realized Insurtech is a recent thing. It's only really been since 2015 that it's been a real word. So we want to actually spend some time and study what are the important characteristics in these partnerships between startups and carriers. So all of you here that are startup founders and have not already completed the survey, we have, we'll call it a 10-minute survey that you can fill out. That's going to help us. We will compile the data and share it back with the industry. The idea is that together with this information, we can help each other be better, both as carriers working with startups and startups working with carriers. So that's our little pitch. And for those of you who are investors, please invite your portfolio companies to complete it. With that, we will get started on our startups. So in terms of our startups, we have 9 startups from our cohort of 15 that will be presenting. So I'm going to ask 3 of them to wait on my left wing, Inovio, Joshu, and Sqwire. And then those that will be following them is Trusty Care, 360F, and Perfect Quote, and then Safely, Spring, and Amplify. So as you see the 3, please just continue to come up on my left wing. All right, Vinod.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Again, good to see many of you again here. I'm Vinod Kochru, president of Inovio. We are a no-code platform, which is basically helping a lot of companies through their transformation journeys. Before that, I have 30 plus years of experience in the industry. He did say you should have a prior experience. I have a lot of it. I created basically an insurance technology as well as service provider company. 6 years working there. And before that, I've as an executive at AIG, Prudential, MetLife, many years. So I'll go to empower enterprises in complex and regulated industries to help them reimagine application development. As you can see from our list of customers, bulk of our customers are marquee insurance, digital and through their transformation journeys. With their traditional business, helping them bring in efficiency, effectiveness in their models, as well as create digital insurance, embedded insurance, and a lot of those new themes. Last couple of years, that's what we have been busy in. The problem we help people solve around their talent shortage, IT skill shortages, legacy complexity, a lot of the tech debt. Insurance companies have grown through a lot of M&As, and it's a spaghetti web of platforms out there. Increasing stakeholder expectations from your consumers, your distributors, as well as a lot of manual processes. Insurance is still pretty famous for a lot of manual processes. The solution we present is our marquee platform called Innovio Sky. It's an engine basically which helps empower business teams and empowers business analysts in helping model their business processes, workflow, integrations, application functionality, and help create integration architecture with APIs and deploy it on the cloud as well. The market opportunity is very strong. You have Gartner and EY saying it's around 500 billion plus when you look at the application development landscape. And then Gartner saying like around 70% in next couple of years will be absorbed low code, no code technology platforms. So these technologies are now, they are no longer with some. And from an Innovio perspective, we have a very strong management team. It's very diverse. It comes from both the industry and comes from technology, comes from startups, geographically very diverse. Our headquarters used to be in Zurich, Switzerland. We have a delivery team in Budapest. We have some teams in India. We have teams in Spain. And now we have teams growing in US as well. So our business model is truly around helping basically send the platform and implement the platform and take the use cases with our customers. We are 100% basically growing year over year this year, and we are projecting next 2 to 3 years to grow at 100 plus on a continual basis. 20 plus enterprise clients, you saw the listing, continue to increase that client list as well. Our strategy on growth is really what we call land and expand traditional strategy. We do a POC, pick up a very difficult use case, few weeks, land something there, have people implement, and with credibility then implement multiple use cases, and further credibility go across multiple lines of businesses and expand our business with our customers. What are we looking for? Why am I here? We did Series A funding early in the year. A lot of you guys have your business partners. You are from insurance companies. We are looking for more and more challenges from insurance companies. And we are looking to create $1 billion enterprise value in less than 3 years, which is now around 2.5 years left for me. Series B funding, you will have an opportunity to participate in Series B funding, what we believe will be a unicorn in the industry in the second half of next year. We are right now pretty heavy work in insurance, mostly banking is also starting basically a growth vertical for us. We have done work in real estate and then some healthcare as well. A lot of technology partners, most of the delivery to our partners. And thank you. And I finished on time.
Perfect. All
I'd
right.
love to talk to you guys later.
Appreciate you being first. And I will call up Roy from Joshua next.
Hey, awesome. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Roy Mill. I'm the CEO of Joshu. Before Joshu, my co-founder Shimi and I were with AdBay, cyber insurance startup, now worth more than $1.3 billion. And oh, it's up to me, right? Thank you. Wait, this is really technology. I'm not a okay, down. Appendix. Okay, there we are. So that's who we are. And one of the things we learned building custom software in-house for an MGA was how complex and slow and expensive it is to launch insurance products or make changes to them. Insurance products change, they don't stay the same. Time to market is really important. A lot of stakeholders between the insurance people not really understanding how software works, or software people not really understanding insurance. People are throwing things over the wall to other people. A lot of complexity there. And we as the IT team felt that we're holding back the insurance teams being kind of spread too thin. So what we built was a digital studio for insurance companies, insurance products, making the insurance teams more independent and therefore much faster. It's designed with them in mind in terms of their mental models and how they approach the problem, leveraging their existing assets, if it's the rating model in Excel, or the different forms in Word docs. Everything is ingested by the platform. We can run very quickly. You get the portals and the APIs right out of the box, including an underwriter interface. So the insurance teams can go run really fast. They don't need IT to start. They don't need IT to launch. And that's what we offer. In terms of market opportunity, hey, was I too loud? Was I too loud? Can you hear me? Okay, I'll stop shouting. And then I shouted. A lot of spend on IT by property and casualty insurers. Obviously, not all of it is something we cater to, but in terms of transforming customer experience is something that was recently ranked as #1 priority by Celent in a research they did there. The business model is a SaaS business model. We take an annual recurring fee based on how much volume we enable and how complex is the integration. We start with a startup package that's very affordable, even to new players in the market. If you need additional new integrations or the volume is higher, there's the growth package and enterprise for more complex, unlimited volume. We go direct to carriers or MGAs and sell the product to them. And we also work with several aggregators, digital brokers, reinsurers to work with them to find those carriers and MGAs. In terms of the team, there are about 11 of us. So I use the soccer field for that. We have the founding team, Shimi and I, in the midfield. I spent way too much time thinking about the formation. So I hope you appreciate it. Shimi is based in Tel Aviv. I'm in the Bay Area in Silicon Valley. We have our product and business development team attacking as the strikers and the developers in defense. Winning team, for, everyone knows that. AdBay is one common thread that we have there. The Israeli Defense Forces intelligence units is another pretty correlated with AdBay. And surprisingly, Ancestry.com, the product team, all of us spend good time there. And we can't do without Ted Lasso. Of course, our coaches and advisors come from a variety of insurance, Insurtech backgrounds. So we're happy to have them supporting us. In terms of the ask, we're looking for more prospects and clients. We want to put our product in front of people, get feedback, get them happy, see that they're happy with it. And also, if you know a sales leader, someone who sold software into insurance companies before, we're happy to hear about them. That's it.
Well, thanks, Roy, for leaving a little extra time. And next up is Danielle from Sqwire.
Hey guys, I'm gonna take a selfie real quick. My mom never believes me that I do this kind of crap in America, so All right, we got that out of the picture. So I'm Daniel Velichki. I'm the founder of Sqwire. For those of you that don't know, Sqwire is the little guy in medieval times that prepares the knight for battle. So we kind of like do that for most of the people. And any of you that went to school in America like I did, any education when it comes to finances whatsoever ever? Anybody? Isn't that amazing? So I did 20 years in the financial business. I guess this is my job. Yeah, I will mess this up. There we go. And this is a passion project that I started a few years back. I just felt like I was sitting across from all kinds of amazing, smart, intelligent, successful people. And you would ask them 5 questions and they just had no answers when it came to insurance, investments, LLCs, ownership, anything. So I started writing curriculum. And then I was really lucky to get a whole bunch of people that came on the team because they were as passionate about the mission as I was. So this little company has been around for a couple of years, and we all do this because we all agree with this. Nothing makes me happier and more confident in life than feeling like my finances are in order. I don't think whoever did that ever tasted Nutella. That makes me happy. But that is very true. But the problem is that 87% of employees won't help with personal finances. Number one issue at work is that people are, missing jobs and missing work, having issues with productivity because they're stressing about what's going on at home, about money, especially after COVID. So the issue is that we came across is that a lot of companies provide financial wellness, but then they also try to sell products and people don't trust them. So there's just a conflict when it comes to that. Banks have experienced that. So we kind of showed up and be like, hey, we can do this crap a lot better and easier. We're not selling you anything. So our solution is a highly customizable platform that is really focused to safe education, but with actionable results. We want people to do something. And that's really where my team makes fun of me. I live by 3 missions when it comes to Sqwire. Number 1 is I want financial literacy in the hands of every American. Number 2 is I want to teach people how to buy shit rather than sell shit. And number 3 is to really understand that education without implementation is worthless. So people have to do something, buy something, put something in place in order to better their situation. So our whole platform is to really teach people how to put themselves in a position of strength, to know exactly what to do, how to do it, and then go purchase it. So that's where the insurance, investments, wills, trusts, and all that stuff comes in play. So the market opportunity, we have clients in each one of these segments, businesses, obviously for the employees, credit unions, nonprofits, military. We were lucky to win a government contract with U.S. Air Force. We provide financial wellness and education, curriculum development, trainer for them for the next 4 years. So the market is huge. The disadvantage, and I'm sure other people in the room can tell you that do what we do, is that we have to educate the market. But this is out there and that's important. That's true ROI on their investment. Our business model is extremely simple. People pay to set up their site, have education, give it to their employees, to their group members, to their as a value proposition. And then this is something that I learned in my 20 years of finance. If anybody's ever worked with a financial professional, usually I ask them, hey, I need to refinance my mortgage. Who's your best mortgage guy? Or who's your favorite realtor? Who's your favorite insurance guy? Who's your favorite investment guy? They don't want to go to Google to find that stuff. I know I'm old, whatever. But so we provide preferred providers that we vet. We know how to ask questions. We know companies that are great. We know the kind of work that they're going to do. And then every year we get feedback from our members, and then we can either replace them or keep them on the platform. So we divided the United States into 300 areas. Tom has 8 categories of preferred providers, and we give options of 3 because we don't want to just give 1. So that's about $18 million annually that we can bring in. And the opportunity, we've designed, we've developed, we did the initial rollout, we did all the testing. Now we really want to go national. So we really are looking for strategic partners that want to look at us. And this is something that, David, thank you for inviting me to this. I learned a lot about my business over the last few months that I didn't know because I was just naive and going, I want to just help people and teach people because this is a passion project rather than anything. But we are a distribution partner for most companies because we teach people how to put themselves in a position to buy products. So they stay, they buy higher, they buy more. So strategic partnerships with product producers, and then roll out accelerators, people that would like to talk to us about potential investments so that we can go nationwide. I really appreciate the time. And again, David and team, you guys do an amazing job. So I'm just thankful to be here, and my mom's going to now believe me. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Danielle. Next is Clary from 360F, all the way here from Singapore. Sorry. We'll get back to Joe. All right. So next, yeah, Joe.
All right. Hi, my name is Joseph Schneier. I'm the CEO and co-founder of TrustyCare. This is my fourth technology startup. I've had a couple of exits, and every industry that I've worked in has been a complex, fragmented, regulated industry. So I thought I would just up the ante this time and get deep into the health insurance, Medicare, and Medicaid space. So I look forward to telling you a little bit about what we're working on. So 5 years ago, when I first started working in the Medicare space, I would go to an investor and they would say, don't talk about old people. We don't want to hear about it. And we all know that that's changed dramatically in the last years. There's a lot of funding going into the Medicare space right now, particularly with agencies. But there are some real core problems right now in how sales are happening in this industry. The average churn rate within 2 months of selling a Medicare Advantage plan right now is 40%. So 40% of the time, somebody's bought an insurance plan, and within 2 months, they're like, this plan doesn't work for me. And they return that plan for a different plan. And it has extraordinary costs in the industry. And when we started to dig into why that was happening, even with fancy new startups coming in or legacy industries, we found that behind the scenes, the data pipelines and the systems of health insurance are just broken. I'd go as far as to say that they are way worse than any of you think they are. So just for example, you have a regional carrier. His job, he's trying to sell his insurance plans. Maybe he's got 300,000 lives. If he is experiencing only a 10% churn, that's going to cost him about 300 million in missed plan premiums. And this is just endemic in the system and is not being solved across the entire industry. And so that's what we're working on at TrustyCare. We are building out the systems and infrastructure to transform the Medicare, Medicaid, individual health market to become an effective sales operation. So you might think like, what is this insurance anyways? So the one thing I would say is 150 million Americans have this type of insurance now. And every single person in this room, if you're an American, is going to have to get one of these types of insurance at some point in your life. They're for gig economy, seniors, low income, lots of different reasons. And 85% of the time, you're picking the wrong one. So our system is really good at making sure that the individual gets into the right plan. And that's what drives revenue for the carrier. So we've really solved a problem that is connecting both what the carrier needs and what the consumer needs. The carrier is our customer, and we've been growing rapidly. So we founded in 2018, spent the first 18 months really on product development, launched in the market in 2020, did 500,000 in revenue then. We're at 3.1 now, and we're on track to hit 12 million in ARR next year. We're closing carriers in 3 months instead of the typical 18-month schedule. That is wild even to me. So that's pretty exciting. And the reason that they're closing that quickly is they see that this is especially the regional carriers, this is a desperate moment for them to be able to compete against the large carriers. We have most of the largest distributors of brokerages that have come on board to our system, and again are starting to close. Both the regional carriers, there's 900 of them. Each of them has about $100 million problem, as well as the distributors, which are brokers and that whole channel. So churn rate, the reason that this happens is it's really difficult to match people to the right product. Typically how that's done, people look at like, what are your doctors? What are your drugs are you taking? Very simplistic view of how to match people. It needs to be way more robust. And our system has taken sort of the magic of a lot of the work we've done in the past around behavioral research and behavior change and applied it to this market. So our solution is a platform that manages contracts, commissions, enrollment, the entire gamut. It basically turns on the ability to effectively sell these products to the right people at the right time. All of our customers are the distributors, so we're excited to see this movement of funding in this sector. And our go-to-market strategies as part of why we're winning. We started with individual agents. They referred us to their agencies and then up to their FMOs, and that has gotten us a lot of our traction. And what we're doing right now, we're doing a Series A. Series A is at 15 million, closing that in early February. We're doing it in 2 tranches. We would love to talk to people about participating in that. And thank you. I'll just listen to that cowbell and get off the stage.
Thanks, Joseph. I only learned recently, but Joseph's office is actually only a few blocks down from here, and some of his investors are in this building. So pretty small world with New York, but we are connected globally. So Clary, who has come all the way from Singapore, we'll try take 2, and this time it is your turn.
A professor from the University of Southern California once made this comment. He said, if people can differentiate good advice and bad advice, then they don't need advice. It's a dilemma, it's an irony, whatever it is. But at 360F, we want to make this irrelevant. My name is Clary, Chief Market Officer and co-founder for 360F, where we make financial advice holistic, where we make life insurance and investments absolutely holistic as a financial advice. And what happened is that we help the customers and their advisors to differentiate between good advice and bad advice so that no one should ever get lost. No one should ever be leading themselves blindly as if they are in the desert. And to date, 2 million customers, 10,000 advisors in 6 countries are using our technology to chart their way towards their greatest possible financial satisfaction. Now, the problem that we solve is a very persistent one. I take my sister as an example. She recently had a 3rd baby, but this time it came with complications. So she called me and asked me if her private insurance covers her conditions. I was very puzzled. Why didn't she ask her financial advisor instead? And it turned out that she and her husband could not remember the advisor's name. Mind you, both of them are working in the financial services industry. They are active investors. They are not financially illiterate. But the life insurance topic is a very uncomfortable one. They don't understand it, so they find it very difficult to trust the advisors to the point that they actually choose to forget his name, right? And now this is a problem that should be overcome. And we overcome it by making financial advice intuitive to understand. It should be less about the products, but more about the overall objective of the financial advice. And therefore, we create the holistic. Okay. Hello? My time is running. Yeah.
It's coming from the TV.
Hi. Hello. Hi, hello.
1, 2, 3.
I got to reboot you. Hold on. I'll wait for that. Someone's
Test.
Hi. Okay, can you hear me now? Should I wait for this? Yeah. Okay. So let me just continue. So what we do to overcome this problem is actually that we create the engine that creates the holistic and intuitive financial advice. Now, what happened is this: think of us as the next generation of Mint platform, but we don't just aggregate the best insurance, best investments, or credit cards to buy. Instead, we put together life insurance and investments together, create holistic, optimized solutions, make it unique for every customer. And on top of that, we make it testable and measurable so that every customer should be able to see their future financial satisfaction as a result of applying the advice. And over time, they are continuously serviced through our financial coaching insights. Now, the customers like it because for the first time ever, they can actually assess the advice independently themselves, and the advisors love it because we are maximizing their customer value. Now, because we are API-first software provider, we are able to cater for as much as 5 use cases per life insurer. We cover their individual customers, the corporate customers, and all their distributors. Hence, as a result, this translates into a very strong business case where we are seeing subscription revenue by the number of advisors as well as the end customers themselves. Now, given the strong trend towards consumer empowerment, we are seeing 70% of our revenue coming from the hybrid usage, where active customers now are empowered to do something about it before they transfer themselves to the advisors. Now, enabling this mission is a very resilient and I would say collaborative team. Over the lockdown period, the last 20 months, this team has delivered a multi-million-dollar implementation deal, fulfilled at least 2 regulators' requirements, and most recently reduced the average delivery cycle to under 3 months. Our ambition over the next 3 years is to grow ourselves into 9 countries and to be able to serve more than 10 million customers. To do that, we are seeking Series A funding now, and at the same time, US being one of the 9 countries that we want to grow in, we are also seeking strategic partners who want to be part of our growth story. So I flew 19 hours for 5 minutes. I got a bit more. So it's worth it. I'll be here for any deep dive discussion. Thank you.
Thanks, Clary, for working out all of our technical difficulties for us for later in the day. So next is Justin with Perfect Quote.
Good morning. Can you try to go in the middle for the camera, please?
Sure.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Justin Sylvester. I'm CEO and co-founder of Perfect Quote. I'm excited to share with y'all how we are modernizing employee benefits agencies across the United States. Little bit of background about myself. I'm a former broker for 10 years with a company called Gallagher. Some of you probably heard of them. And while I was there, I lived the pain and frustration of trying to sell group insurance. There's a few of you in this room that know exactly what I'm talking about. But for those of you that don't, the way that brokers market and renew and advise their clients on which insurance plans are the best, it's completely manual. Meaning they're going to go out to all of these different carriers across the market. They're going to send them packets of data. The carriers are going to then send back proposals in multiple formats. None of them are consistent. And then there are teams at the agency where their entire job is to hand key this data into a comparison, make a recommendation, sell it, and then rekey it into other systems when they're done. And if the client wants to see something that's not in that presentation, or wants to see a revision or rate relief, the whole process starts over again. It took my former office 90 hours per client to do a full-on analysis. And the reason that it takes that long is because the data is all different. They are hand keying it in. There's errors that are created. So there's a peer review process that's involved. And then from there, it just trickles down. We help brokers avoid all of that. So meaning our system works with brokers and general agents on the employee benefits side that allows us to ingest data from all of these carriers, regardless if they have APIs or not. Most of them don't. We can then analyze everything immediately as to what are the differences, who's competitive. Let's make recommendations. Brokers can use our platform to sell online and have a digital presentation, which doesn't really happen often, but you have to now considering everything's being done on Zoom. And then from there, they can easily create their comparisons, export the data, and then put it into partner systems and avoid all of this rekeying process. So far this year, brokers using Perfect Quote have sold over $1 billion of premium on the employee benefits side. Now we work with medical, dental, life, vision, disability on the group health side, right? In doing that, they are saving significant dollars because our system is so much faster than the current process that they do. So I gave you a story, right? It took 90 hours per client in my old office. People using our system do it in 5 minutes or less without data entry and integrations on the back end. And then because we're eliminating data entry, error is just going to start disappearing anyway. Our market is the $1 trillion healthcare market, right? It comprises of over 1,700 life and health carriers, over 40,000 insurance agencies, plus with around 1 million people working at those agencies. And roughly 150 million Americans purchase insurance through their employers, right? So that's everybody that we are touching. We support already the largest carriers in the industry. Our clients are the largest agencies in the United States. And the reason being that we work with them is because we can solve for their entire book of business on the EB side. We are not, if you're familiar with our space, a lot of people function in a small market capacity. That's not us. We can work in all market segments for these agencies, and they come to us because we can save them significant time. As of right now, our ARR is right around 1.8 million. We've had roughly 250% to 300% growth for the last 3 years in a row. And it's not slowing down. So we're really excited about where we're going next year. The way that our business model is set up is we have 4 different pricing components where we can service small mom and pop shops all the way up to the top 5 agencies on the planet. Oops, sorry. Where we're going with this is monetizing that $1 billion of premium that's already running through our system through carrier partnerships. Our market already is a $3 billion market for just subscription play. But where we're going with this is leveraging carrier partnerships to build out their distribution model and earn on the back end for helping distribute, market, and sell their products, which we currently operate in. A little bit about our team. We are not a bunch of kids that just developed a software app to solve a problem. Almost all of us come from the insurance industry. We all come from national agencies like Marsh and Hub and payroll companies. That's what we do. We've all experienced the pain firsthand. And right now, we're going to be raising in the future for next year. We are looking for VC firms and funds that can help us achieve our objectives, which is partnerships, growth hires, and introductions to the right carriers. Justin, thank you very much.
All right. So next up, we have a dynamic duo of Andrew and Amanda from Atlanta.
You got it. Thank you. Thank you, David. Well, I'm Andrew Bate. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Safely.com, and we're solving the industries, the travel industries and the sharing economy's biggest problem, and that's trust and safety. Because what happens with your home rental is there's an internet stranger coming into your house, they're sleeping in your bed, they're using your stuff, and that's the biggest barrier to having this sharing economy and the short-term home rental industry grow. And this is a fast-growing, changing industry. People are traveling differently. They're staying longer when they travel. They're working from wherever they travel. They're staying in homes. They're not staying in hotels. And the homeowners are acting differently too. They're acting in ways where they're renting their home. They're using it commercially in ways that aren't covered by that H01 through 8 forms. Instead, there are so many new use cases for a home. So what we do at Safely is we answer a homeowner's most important questions. Who's staying in my house and what happens when something goes wrong. And we answer that question of who's staying in your house with data and analytics, identity checks. We have a contributory database of bad guests, people who have destroyed homes and should never rent again without the right supervision. And then we have a primary commercial insurance policy that covers every commercial event, every reservation we're on. And when that reservation's off, we're off.
So how does it work? Well, actually, the guest ends up paying for the entire program. And the way we're able to do that is we're embedded in every transaction. So every booking that the guest makes. And we're doing that by being an actual mandatory fee. And so what that means is we have 100% adoption rate in every booking. And also this is great for the guest because we remove the need for the damage deposit. So what happens? The guest goes, they book their reservation either on some of these booking channels that you're used to, Airbnb, booking.com. They'll call our client directly in their call centers, or they'll go to the website. It really doesn't matter how the reservation is made because we're actually capturing all of that reservation data into the master calendar. Now, I want you guys to meet Louis. Louis heads up our partnerships. And what he's done is we're actually integrated with 20 of the top property management systems out there. And why that matters is this is how we're actually able to be embedded into that master calendar. And so what happens then, all of that data flows down to us and we're able to ensure every single reservation as soon as it's booked, and also screen every guest. And now let's meet Mark. Mark heads up our finance and operations, and specifically, he's heading up our initiative to pay claims in less than 2 days. Now, why does this matter? Well, things move really quickly in for our clients. You know, they have guests that are coming in, that are leaving in the morning, and then there's new guests coming in the afternoon, right? And so getting paid quickly actually really matters to them. And this is translating to happiness. This is me. I'm Amanda. I head up our customer happiness at Safely. And as you can see, we've really made some strides since 2018. Our turn rate is down to 3%, which means that 97% of our clients are actually sticking with us. And not only that, they're growing with this as well. We have a net revenue retention rate right now of 125%.
And now meet Kerry Marisa. He leads our sales. And you can see a little dip here. The little dip was what was from COVID. Things just canceled. Everything canceled. It was really scary. But since COVID, there's been phenomenal growth. We're at 156% compounded annual growth rate since things started to open up after things shut down from COVID right away. Right now, we're at a trailing 12 months revenue of $5.6 million. We'll finish this year at 6.2. Our pipeline strong will be over $10 million next year. So this has been, the changes in the industry have led to this fast growth. And my background, I was at McKinsey, but in their travel practice. But what happened there is I understood distribution and everything's data-based. And so what we've done, we've insured over 1 million nights so far, and that's allowed us to create a new risk score or underwriting model. So we can identify the 14% of guests who are causing 70% of the bad stays. And next year we begin to operationalize it because we'd rather prevent a bad stay than pay for it. And our final ask, we're raising, it's now $8.5 million round. There's $3 million left. It's a convertible note, $40 million cap. And then we're also looking for partners for reinsurance capacity and fronting capacity in Europe, UK, Canada, and Mexico. Thank you.
All right, next up, Joseph number 2 from Spring.
Joseph number 2 or Joe number 1, whichever one you want. Let's see if I can do this clicker. All right. How's the microphone? Good stuff. Let's go. So my name is Joe Holberg. I'm the founder and CEO of Spring, the #1 financial wellness platform in the United States. Our mission is very simple. We'd like to empower Americans to lead financially healthy lives. And we've been going at it as one of the first providers since 2015. And we're now servicing tens of thousands of employees at companies across the country. Financial health and financial wellness is a massive problem to tackle, especially for employees whose stress is the #1 cause of stress in their life. Americans hold over $2.5 trillion in student loan debt, and including credit card debt. 62% of people don't have enough emergency savings, which causes additional stress. 76% of people are living paycheck to paycheck, and 95%, regardless of income, employees are losing productivity at work, which directly impacts the employer's bottom line. So our solution is a financial wellness and coaching platform. And on top of this, all of our coaches are investment advisor representatives, meaning that compared to a lot of the financial literacy platforms that provide curriculum and content only, we have human components that are actually able to work with employees one-on-one and provide real actionable financial guidance and coaching to help employees make better decisions, which lead to reduced stress. We've also built a Netflix style recommendation engine that adapts and changes to the employee's needs and priorities over time. You can imagine logging into Netflix and everybody seeing the same content. Netflix would suck as a company, right? But when you adapt content to meet the needs of people over time, you're getting that engagement and that retention that is so elusive in the employee benefits space. The industry sees about 5 to 10% employee engagement in benefits like this. We have 37% engagement across all of our customers on average, because we're truly meeting their needs and helping them move forward. Our vision is broader than financial wellness. We imagine being able to either promote or build in-house other financial products and services that continue to accelerate financial wellness and reduce financial stress in the employee population. Got a little pro tip on the microphone. Sorry if it was quiet. So by 2030, we would like to be able to help employees work towards all of these solutions across credit cards, refinancing existing debt, helping them secure better credit scores, better insurance products, and the like. Right now, our solution is working. We're seeing a reduction in financial stress of over 64%. Employee tenure is increasing 42%, which is a massive 1 to 2 times salary loss when an employee leaves an organization. And we're helping companies in a tight labor market attract talent much faster. This is our actual monthly recurring revenue. Believe it or not, we had 0% churn during COVID. We saw no dip because financial wellness went from a nice to have to a mandatory benefit, and it will become a ubiquitous benefit that is offered to presumably all Americans in the next 5 to 10 years. We saw that demand increase. We have several $1 million in our pipeline, and we are now even breaking even or profitable every single month as we build out our technology and our sales team. Like I mentioned, we've had 100% customer retention during COVID. We've actually had 98% customer retention lifetime since 2015. And our customers have not only provided our most valuable references, but they have made us the top-rated financial wellness benefit in the United States online. What we are looking for specifically is to partner with insurance companies in their group benefits practice to help the insurance companies meet the demand and the need from clients who are reaching out to them and saying that they are interested in adding financial wellness as a differentiated benefit in their benefits offering. My name is Joe Holberg. My email is on the screen. And if you'd like to contact us, please do afterwards.
Thanks, Joe. And last but certainly not least is Hannah from Amplify, coming all the way from San Francisco.
Awesome. Thank you. Yes, great to see everybody. Hope you guys are having a great event so far. See lots of familiar faces and also from ITC. So Amplify. Oops. Amplify, we are a modern life insurance investments platform. So my background is actually in the life insurance space. Actually have a deep family history in life insurance. Both of my parents were life insurance agents for a couple decades. And myself, I actually started a financial planning agency out of college. And during that time, over the course of 5 to 6 years, we placed about $2 billion of active life insurance coverage in force. So Amplify, at that time, we actually were, helping sort of back in the financial planning agency, we were helping more sort of high net worth families and also businesses with saving and investing through their life insurance policy to accumulate wealth as well as protect their assets. And just realized that a lot of modern customers and also my peers had no idea that you have these benefits with a life insurance policy. So that's why back in 2019, we started Amplify to be able to democratize access to help modern consumers also be able to save and invest and also accumulate assets within their life insurance policy. So with Amplify, what do you think of when you think of life insurance? Typically you think of a death benefit, you think of protecting your family, but you don't really think of an asset that you can actually accumulate and build your financial future with and be able to access in the future. So with Amplify, we actually are helping customers access a lot of these benefits where you can trade, rebalance, get reinvested dividends, all in a tax-efficient manner through your life insurance policy, as well as be able to access your policy and the funds inside of your policy in a liquid manner. So with a lot more flexibility, you can actually benefit from your life insurance policy when you're alive. So for myself, I actually was able to, I was joking at ITC where a lot of people, they get a graduation gift after college, you get a car or you get some other gift. I got a life insurance policy from my parents, which, on the surface seems kind of boring, but it was pretty exciting because it had some cash inside that I then used to open a financial planning agency. So that was very helpful. But also, of course, you can also protect your family while having this tax efficient asset in the future. So Amplify, our vision is to build a modern investments platform where first and foremost, we allow for policy customization. So not just how much coverage that you're getting at what price, but also how much of your premium is going towards your investable assets and how much of your premium is going towards your coverage amount. And that's very different depending on each unique individual's priorities and goals in their life. In addition to that, also taking into account their health and behavioral and financial risk profile. In addition to that, we also have built a platform where in-force customers can be able to make trades and be able to access public equities or a high interest savings account directly through their life insurance policy and be able to actually make it a fun and engaging process versus just a one and done process with life insurance. The third piece also is a technology stack to really build connectivity into the fintech ecosystem. So we've built the API infrastructure for quoting as well as for in-force policy management for our B2B2C partnerships such as digital RIAs, neobanks, and the like. In addition to that, we've also built a data infrastructure where we can be able to aggregate data, including understanding what customers want to buy, understanding digital engagement through their policy versus just, kind of understanding in the traditional industry, we understand what agents want to sell and what creates the most sales through an agent distribution. But with Amplify, we actually understand, what demographics of customers want to buy what types of policies and how they want to engage and how they want to customize their policy to their unique life goals. So who are our customers? Well, we actually seen a lot of traction through two different types of customers. One is a peace of mind customer that really just has $100 to $150 a month to save. And for them, they're just looking for an all-in-one plan. For example, a single mother or a gig economy worker where they can put away $100 a month and they feel that they're saving for their future, but they're also protecting their family. Another type of customer is a mass affluent customer or a tax efficient wealth customer where they're priced out of a Roth IRA and they don't have that many tax efficient options to continue to build wealth with their discretionary income. So we've seen a lot of those types of customers as well. So today, we have a multi-channel distribution. So we have a direct-to-consumer distribution channel where we're really building thought leadership around not just life insurance, but also words such as tax efficient wealth. Okay. I'm just going to skip to the end here. So we've been growing 20 to 30% month on month since the beginning of this year. Now we're submitting about 1.5 million in premiums on a monthly basis. And we just closed our Series A, but would love to chat with any potential partners and also investors for future rounds. So thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Hannah, and thanks to each of the startups that presented. You represent our cohort number 2. So we are going to be taking a short break until 3 p.m. So feel free to use this time for networking, grab some food or drink over there, and we will see you back at 3, where you will hear the next cohort of startups to present. Welcome back from the break. So now we're on part 2. Now that you've heard from our current cohort, you're going to now get a chance to see 3 startups come back from our previous cohort. So first, I'm going to call up Billy from Sensely. You can use this one. Thanks. Roy, is that one good? Yeah.
Hey everyone, how's that? My name is Billy Daniels. I'm the director of product from Sensely. Thanks for having us. We were in the 2020 fully virtual Insurtech class, and it's good to be back and meet some of you in person. Sensely was founded in 2013, and we bring together a vast experience of voice UX, technology, insurance, and healthcare. We're venture backed by some partners like Stanford, Aflac, and the Mayo Clinic, and those partnerships have helped us grow pretty rapidly globally. Here we go. Some of our partners are worldwide. Speaking of global, some of the largest insurers in the world use Sensely. AXA, the NHS in England, Allianz, Generali, to name a few. And in the US, our biggest partners are Kaiser Permanente and Florida Blue. We have over 5 million people using our platform and throughout 12 countries. And what we are is, like I said, we're a virtual healthcare and insurance virtual assistant. And we have a special piece of technology that we've created. It's an avatar. And we've asked our users what they think of our avatar, and over 1,200 people surveyed say they prefer our avatar. 4 out of 5 people prefer the avatar over just using a chatbot. And what that means is we've proven that that increases engagement and repeat usage. Throughout years of research with our insurance partners, we've built a new product. What if you could get to know your members better in a conversational way? What if you could explain their benefits, their policies in a way that engages them and that they can understand? What if you could navigate them through any step in the insurance journey in a way that supports them, giving them the right tools at the right time? We feel like we're making members and insurers partners. Alongside that, we offer consumer health services from the #1 hospital in the world, the Mayo Clinic. We have a symptom checker to navigate and also give peace of mind to members. We improve health and wellness, and we can support members with chronic disease. In the US, we're now offering virtual primary care to navigate to existing telemedicine, in-person, and other services, what's right for the members when they need it. The interesting thing is we can customize utilization to any insurer business model across the world and in the US. We can also handle other things in the insurance journey: claims, life insurance, application process, onboarding, things like that. Sensely is truly cross-platform. We can go inside an existing insurance app, on messaging platforms, and on an existing website. Very low friction to implement, which has been a big win for insurers. Also, we bring insights to insurers, such as population analytics and individual analytics. So let's talk about our results. So for a health payer, we've reduced costs by 14%. During an insurance application process, when a member uses Sensely as opposed to a telephone operator, it's the disclosure rate's 3 times better. For short-term disability, we've been able to reduce call volumes by 24% and increase satisfaction. And for chronic disease management, we have a reduced cost of 66%. So what does this mean for insurers? This is the entire journey of retention, member acquisition, really building a relationship with your members. Right now, we're open to Series C investment. We're raising $25 million. We're looking for strategics and payers as well. And you saw some of our investors. Thank you.
Thanks, Billy. And next up is Jen from Finris.
Hey, everybody. It is so great to be back in person again. Just happy to see you all. I also participated in last year's cohort where it was entirely digital. So for those that are wondering, this is what the back of my head looks like. All right. So what do we do at Fenris? At Fenris, we improve your customer acquisition and the full life cycle optimization. And we do it so simply. We are simply an API. And you hit that API to get all the insights and data that you need on any applicant and any policyholder. Pretty simple. My team, between Jay and myself, we have launched a few companies, exited a few companies. He even has an IPO to his credit. But you don't have to really have been around the block a lot to know that in insurance, there are some very critical functions that people are trying to solve today. And I got to know that when I was leading an Insurtech called Elephant Auto Insurance. It was a carrier, and we started it from scratch about 10 years ago, and it's now in 5 states. So it did okay, right? But at the time I was leading marketing, and I noticed this problem, and everybody knows this problem. You're spending hundreds to thousands of dollars to acquire a single customer. It's a terrible experience. You're asking them to fill out a lot of long forms. And at the end of the day, they're buying a product that they don't really know what it does for them. But with Fenris, we're able to help them achieve better unit economics because we're actually providing the full pre-fill, insight into who their best customer will be. And then after the sell, we're monitoring that customer, that policyholder, for additional products and services that they can sell, detecting events, not predicting them. So we solve these problems in 3 ways. Across the 9 APIs that we have, they support auto, home, life, and small business. We have scored millions of leads and identified for our customers how they can then double or triple their conversion rates by simply focusing on the ones that are most likely to close. Very top of funnel, very early on for a personalized experience. Then, of course, you want to invest in that experience. Let's have an all swipe, no type experience. Let's put this in front of the agent or the consumer so that they can validate their information, not look it up. Don't go tell me to find my VIN or the distance to the fire hydrant. And please, as much as data exists, bring that to me and let me validate it and get through it simply. And finally, I'm super excited about this one because as a result of being here last year, this is when we were alerted to the need for Lima, which is our life event monitoring and alert platform. This is the first of its kind automated platform where we monitor your customer base, your policyholders, using just the name and address, because we've already got all the data on 95% of the US consumers. And when we detect a change, we give that back to you. You take action. Consumers are 2 to 14 times as likely to buy a new policy from you then. Pretty awesome, huh? So if you're in the business of growing by new customer acquisition or expanding by selling more products to your existing customer base, you should probably check us out. Some of our customer success stories are here, but I want to focus on our progress. Since launching our platform in 2020, right as the pandemic hit and right as we were part of this, we've added 25 customers. It is a usage-based model. So we start very low in revenue and we watch it scale. As our customers land, they expand and we expand along with them. And as I mentioned, some of our key software partners are putting us into the workflows. So you'll see a couple of logos here that help you understand how we view ourselves as enablers. We're the Levi Strauss in this Insurtech gold rush. So we're helping incumbents and startups alike. The software platforms embed us, so that's our multiplier effect. And at the end of the day, what happens is a better customer experience with better unit economics and better insurance. So at this time, we're not raising, but we do plan to raise a Series A in 2022. So love to have some conversations. But if you're a carrier, a startup, a platform, and you think it'd be nice to plug into our API to be able to enable this kind of one-click Amazon-like customer journey, then get in touch with us. Just yesterday, I had a call with a startup founder who just exited at 1 billion plus to Allstate. He's starting a new startup. Today, he's using our API. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. And our third startup from the past cohort is Dijon from Goose Insurance, coming from Canada.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm super happy to be here today. And let's see if we can get this presentation on the road. There we go. Yeah, so my name is Dion, co-founder of Goose, and we're building an insurance super app to help consumers buy insurance. So we actually are an Insurtech challenger, and our app allows consumers to buy multiple lines of insurance, both P&C and life lines of insurance, all through one app. A little bit about the team. We have 70 years of domain expertise in insurance and mobile. This is actually our second Insurtech startup. Our first is Canada's largest Insurtech with over 180,000 policies in force and getting close to about $100 million of premiums. So we're on a mission to help consumers protect themselves, their families, by making insurance simple, affordable, and really accessible. In North America, we feel that over 200 million consumers are underinsured, unreached, and underserved by today's legacy distribution channel. Agents and brokers have always had challenges reaching the mid-market to low-income consumers. In 2021, believe it or not, 200 million consumers still do not have enough life insurance or don't have any life insurance. 250 million consumers need some form of identity theft insurance. And 5 million pets out of 170 million have some type of accident and sickness insurance. Our app is purpose-built and designed to basically help solve this problem. But what's important for us is that we're just not selling insurance, we're trying to make insurance affordable. Currently, there are 12 lines of insurance consumers can buy through our app, completely self-serve without talking to anyone. And in the future, we expect to have up to 40 different lines in the next several years, launching other lines of insurance. When we talk about affordability, we recently launched an income protection insurance starting at $10 a month. We partnered with AIG to build this insurance, and it provides the consumer a $1,500 benefit a month if they're unable to work due to an accident. So it's an accident income protection insurance, the first of its kind available in Canada. Our super app also will help consumers learn about insurance and discover and educate themselves. But in addition to that, we will make recommendations leveraging first-party data and AI. Our platform is really built so consumers can buy insurance in minutes, not hours. It's super fast. I'm going to show you a quick video of how quick it is. It may not have sound. Someone can basically pick an option, click the person they want to insure, answer a few questions, go through the underwriting process, and the price shows up, and they can actually buy and bind the policy completely self-serve in the app, again, in minutes. They can also be upsold at the same time. So it's a really slick platform, easy to use, and it's available today. So Goose, we're digital marketers. Think of us more as a mobile app company than an insurance brand. We basically get to consumers and compel them to download our app and buy insurance by delivering a message similar to this. So here, Addie is telling a user that they can buy life insurance in 60 seconds, up to $50,000 for $5 a month. And they can do it completely self-serve. So an ad like this will compel a consumer to download our app and sign up with that one wedge, that one message. And then over time, they can discover all the other lines that we have available. We've actually achieved product market fit. Consumers are using social proof and providing reviews to others, telling them how great Goose is, and across multiple lines of insurance. We've actually have traction. We have 75,000 insureds in our platform. We've delivered over 16,000 policies to date. And the oldest consumer to self-serve and buy a policy was 92 years old. Our monetization strategy is quite simple. What we're doing is we want to win the trust of a consumer with one of our product wedges, and then over time, increase our share of wallet by cross-selling relevant lines of insurance. Our roadmap is really to reach 1 million customers and sell them $500 a year of insurance, of any type of insurance that's available in the app. We have several risk partners, forward-thinking risk partners that we've partnered with today to build these lines of insurance, including Teachers Life, IA, AIG, IMG, and Boost Insurance from New York here. And we're looking for more partners to help build all these other lines. Our ask is to partner with us to underwrite our lines of insurance in the United States. In 2022, we'll be doing a Series A, or just simply download our app and buy some insurance. Thank you so much.
Appreciate that first tangible action everyone can take. Just download their app and buy insurance. So I want to thank Mativi for making this possible from the French Embassy. But we realized since we're a hub, that means we need to bring people in, not just from Israel, not just from Canada, not just from Singapore, but from Europe as well. So Damien's going to be presenting for Zelros.
Thank you, David. So here I am, the French guy of the day. And probably you could have guessed with my terrible accent. So I'm Damien. I'm one of the 3 co-founders of Zelros. And Zelros, so we develop an AI platform to optimize the distribution of insurance policies on both digital and agents channel. Yeah, so it was Halloween a couple of weeks ago, so I wanted to start sharing with you scary numbers. We all know that within the insurance industry, the battle is on the customer experience. I wanted to share a figure provided by McKinsey. They say that the impact of bad customer experience is $470 billion in terms of lost premium, so which is a pretty scary number. But what is it about bad customer experience in the insurance industry? I will share with you a story, the story of Leanne. Leanne, she's a customer. She sits on her sofa over the weekend, and she's looking for car insurance information. So she's typically browsing the insurance website of an insurance company. And what she will get from this company is complex insurance verbiage. And typically, she will hear about, third-party liability, loss of use, all those terms that she doesn't understand and that are very meaningless for her. She will probably drop out at a point of time. If you take now Thomas, he is an agent. He may have to follow up with Leanne at a point of time. Thomas is not helped as well by his current set of tools to really understand the real personal needs of Leanne and of each and every customer in his book of business. That's where Zelros comes into picture. Thanks to Zelros, if you take Leanne again, as an insurance player, you won't deliver to her complex insurance verbiage. You will tell her that you know that she's a nurse. You know that her car is for her very important in her daily work life, and that you have her back covered. Whatever happens to her car, accidents, breakdown, or flood. Because again, thanks to Zelros, you know that she lives in a very highly risky hurricane area. You will be able to replace her car in less than 24 hours. That is meaningful to Leanne. And if you have a good quote funnel, good digital quote funnel, she will immediately subscribe to your insurance policy. If not, no panic. We also empower your agents. So if you take Thomas again, if he calls back Leanne to follow up on her browsing website, Thomas will get the exact same personalized recommendations integrated within his CRM. This ensures that for you as an insurance company, you deliver end-to-end, delightful, and highly personalized experience to Leanne. How we do that? We built a customer intelligence platform leveraging both the insurance data and third-party data that we bring to the table to come up with this hyper-personalization layer that sits on top of your processes and set of tools. We are proud to be able to deploy our technology in a matter of weeks, not years, not even months, thanks to a strategic alliance that we've made. And we are also very proud to be thought leaders as far as responsible AI and trustworthy AI is concerned. We've worked with financial regulators to develop our framework. Hence, if you use our AI, you will be compliant by design when it comes, to removing biases or to explain the decisions provided by our AI. The market is huge. Of course, insurance companies invest a lot in technology, and they are doubling down on both analytics and customer experience, which is our playground. And we are covering mainly personal lines. We are covering life, health, and P&C in Europe. In the US, we will be starting with P&C first. We grow 100% year over year. We are also very happy to see that we have a great land and expand strategy. So I go fast. So some of our customers already spend 500K annual recurring revenue with us. We completed our Series A beginning of this year. And as it was said in the panel earlier, we are looking to engage on discussions with VCs interested in hyper-personalization to prepare our Series B sometime in 2023. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Damien. It's glad to see the Europeans here as well. I know during our accelerator, it was very tough for some of them to make it here with the travel restrictions. So we're really glad to have those lifted. So our last group or cohort is from the Israeli Insurtech Accelerator. I really want to thank Kobe for helping us organize this and doing this tour across the US. There are 8 of the Israeli Insurtechs here. Only 5 of them we had time for them to present. So please take the time to meet the other 3 that are not presenting. And I know several of them will also be participating in our event at 5:30 as well. So the first startup I'm going to call up is Eliran from Ravin.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Where's the, okay. Thank you. So at Raven, what we do is really automate vehicle inspections using your mobile phones. We've been doing that for about 4 years. We started the company actually out of London, where I led a couple of ventures in the auto and mobility space. And I teamed up with this guy, the PhD in computer vision, got to have one, from Israel, Roman Sandler. He's actually one of the first people who built the speed detection cameras on highways for the police. That's him. We've actually have offices across Europe and in Austin, Texas as well for our North American operations with pretty experienced people running them. We've raised $25 million to date, and we're automating inspections across the auto industry. So for logistics, car rental companies, leasing companies, and others. And the problem we're solving for the insurance industry really is that dealing with auto claims is really a pain. And an Accenture survey actually found that if you had an incident, you're twice as likely to leave your insurance company within the next 12 months. And you kind of ask yourself, why is that the case? Why do claims need to be so expensive and long to settle? And we think it's linked to this guy, or the likes of, that are needed to inspect the vehicle, to just settle the claim, understand what damage is there. And this guy charges money, so that's a source of cost to the insurance company. They are also sometimes subjective, yes, which means that some things get added to the claim that may not need to be added, and they're paid for. And ultimately, it's about delays for the repair of the vehicle, which is a huge cost and ultimately a poor customer experience. which is why we're utilizing the platform that we've built now for over 4 years with 500 million records of vehicles onto the insurance industry. And this includes, the platform includes 3 parts. The first one is the image analysis on the device itself, which optimizes the image input and just creates a seamless video experience rather than forcing you to take exactly the right picture. It includes the vehicle analysis in the background and the back end that really understands what damage is there, and it's quite agnostic and flexible. And thirdly, it's an integration ready platform that can go into the workflow, the claim processing platforms, the estimatics that being used in the body shop, and it fits onto whichever flow is being worked on by the carrier. So basically what the user sees when they have an incident, they just click on a link, they get to the phone browser, and they're asked to take a video of the damaged area. Kind of a 20-second thing. And basically the AI can pick the right images, zoomed in and zoomed out of the damaged area, multiple angles, both yourself and maybe if you hit someone else, their car as well, which helps. And what we do in the back end, we basically create an analysis, an initial analysis of the damages on the vehicle with all the description. And then finally, we generate an estimate. And the estimate, if it's a simple claim, can be the final thing where you can just go to the customer and say, look, $500, just take it, and the matter is settled. If it's more complex, of course, there are cases where it's more complex, and we have to admit that. Then it goes to the body shop, and the body shop can deal with anything that's not seen by the AI, but still you've got the evidence from the scene, which makes it very difficult to add like weird things to the claim from other side of the car or things like that. So that limits fraud quite a bit. Last thing is, of course, we're better than competition. There is a lot of noise out there about AI being used in damage detection. We've built the solution very differently on fleets. So we've been examining cars day in, day out in some of the major airports and auctions around both North America and Europe. You can see some names here. Edessa, they're actually investing in the company. Toyota and a couple of others across the board. It's a well-trained system, and it doesn't fall into the traps of the usual AI, which focuses only on the big collision damage. We've seen smaller and bigger damages, and we're quite resilient, which also makes for a better customer experience because you're not forcing people to take exactly the right image. You can take a video, and we do the rest. That's it. Thank you very much. Looking at round B, so happy to talk to investors as well.
All right. Next up is Ilya from MNotion.
Okay, my name is Ilya Shapira. I'm CEO and co-founder of MNotion. What it should be there that actually MNotion develops next generation climate model. Okay, simple. And we actually focus not exactly on the forecast itself, but the economic impacts of these events, climate events. How actually specific climate events impact bottom line of our clients, users, name it. Okay, we missed some data here, but okay. This is the accuracy of synoptic forecast beyond 5 days. Okay, we cannot plan based on it. It changes all the time. It's highly inaccurate, and the market size of it is less than $3 billion. Okay, it's ridiculously small when we're talking about climate change and all the buzzes and how we're afraid of it. We actually do not pay for weather. We do not like to pay it. We do not trust it. We cannot use it. Okay, so we are actually here beyond the synoptic range. Oh, nice. Okay. So we are actually here beyond the synoptic range, and we actually aim to supply bankable forecasts, forecasts that do not update once they issued, high accuracy, and you actually can plan something based on these forecasts. Okay, so what is the market size here? We do not know. It's kind of blue ocean, but according to some researchers, the value of better climate model, more precise, is something like 20 billion. How we do it? We gather a lot of information. Actually, we gather more information than Google and Yahoo all together. We clean it, we analyze it, we mix it with our own GIS solution. We actually map everything that can impact the microclimate conditions for the specific point on the ground level. We also have our own NLP solution. We actually gather the unique information regarding how specific events influenced something. It can be behavior human, it can be economic issues, everything. Once we detect it, next time we detect the specific climate conditions, we will know where it will lead us. The data we gather is quite very bad. That's actually one of the reasons why thermodynamic models that are available today do not converge. And we have a lot of problems with it, is they actually do not work. So we'll elaborate this data. We make it possible to push into our algorithms. This is by itself already a tool, very useful product, because actually we have the best granulated data, meteorological data in the world. What we do with this high resolution data? We actually build our own neural network of virtual weather stations. They behave exactly as physical, but they're much more. We need no IoT, we need nothing. Over 200,000 of virtual weather stations, it is growing. For today, we are covering over 80% of Earth's area, and it behaves like a cloud, ground level, up to 30 kilometers to atmosphere. So this network actually learns all the time. It does two things. One, detect butterfly effects, how the minoric changes in one of the points will influence other virtual weather stations, where it will lead, and once this connection is actually causation relationship connection, we will use it for forecast in the future. The second is we actually reverse engineer climate conditions. So once we detect hail somewhere, we will learn what actually were the patterns for this event. So we actually do not use any kind of current models. We do not use thermodynamic approach, pure data science. This is the next hurricane, if you want to know. And just a second. This is how it can be used. From the understanding of winter season 2021, we actually can make it bankable. You can earn money on it. We actually detect how the microclimate conditions will influence the bottom line of the companies. We do it absolutely automatic. We are only 4 and we are bootstrap. Thank you.
All right, next up is Guy from Insurtech. Back to the health side of things.
Hey everybody, I'm Guy Benjamin from Insurtech. US healthcare is simple, accessible, and easy to navigate. This is an exact quote. I'm sure you know by who. Any guesses? No one, ever. It's the exact opposite. It's a sea of confusion and a huge source of waste. Healthcare accounts for 20% of US GDP. That's twice as much than any other developed country. Employers pay $1.6 trillion on employees' healthcare. That's a whopping $10,000 per employee per year. But 70% of employees say they have no clue what they're covered for. Even myself, when I worked at McKinsey here in New York, I had no idea what were my health benefits. My only options were either to call a call center in India or try to read a 650-page document that changes every year. That is unacceptable, but it also means that employers are losing billions of dollars every year on reduced satisfaction, lost productivity, and higher health costs because employees are not as healthy as they can be. We have what it takes to fix this and win this trillion-dollar market. We have a team of experts from different dimensions and different areas, including medical, insurance, business, healthcare, and economics. And we are backed by top-tier investors, including Group 1, Group 11, Insurtech, BrokerTech Ventures, Good Company, and Crescent. We also raised $22 million seed round, also led by Group 11, one of the top fintech VCs from the West Coast, to develop Zoe, the first ever virtual chief health officer. What can she do? She uses AI to analyze any health plan. Doesn't matter if you're Cigna, Blue Cross Blue Shield, United Healthcare. She takes that 650-page document that, again, changes every year and analyzes it using AI and machine learning. Once she does that, she can provide personalized health recommendation for any employee based on their specific needs. Now, I want to do one quick exercise. I want everybody to close your eyes, just 1 second. And remember the last time you called the healthcare insurance call center to figure out what you're covered for. Now, I can see nobody's laughing because it's not a good experience. Now, let me show you how Zoe does it. In this example, the employee, again, think about your experience. Instead of calling the call center in India, tell Zoe, either on their phone or on their laptop, hey, Zoe, I've been having back pains lately. What am I covered for? Zoe immediately goes to his plan, his specific plan, and tells him I'm on it. These are the benefits you're covered for: telehealth, at-home care, orthopedics, chiropractor, or a massage. In a second, more information than you'd probably ever get in a call center. Once he picks the benefit that he's interested in this case, orthopedics, he gets, again, immediately the coverage. So in this case, 20% in-network and no coverage out of network. But Zoe does not stop here. She also provides the nearest in-network providers, their location, their actual cost before they go there, and his out-of-pocket, their review, and when they're available next based on the employee's calendar. So you can see that in less than a minute, we got much more information than in a call center, but we also made the user or the employee a consumer because we gave him all the factors that are needed to pick a provider. Lastly, she said, it's been about 9 months since your last physical. Do you want me to book you an appointment? Because Zoe is not just reactive, she's also proactive. She reaches out to employees with preventive care benefit that they should be doing or benefits that are covered for that they should know about. Now, why would employers pay? It's pretty straightforward, right? But increase employee satisfaction, reduce turnover, eliminate the need for call center during work hours, less downtime, healthier employees. You save costs because you have more early detection. But lastly, you learn about your employees and you know exactly what they need, not what they're using, but what they actually need. And you can tailor the benefits that you provide them. And all of this for $4 a month per employee. We're currently working with, actually, it's already 15 US companies and it's growing every day. We're onboarding about 50 more in next year and planning to get to about 5 million ARR. One last stat for you guys. 60% of Americans either delay or avoid an appointment with a doctor because they don't know if they're covered for it. That's what we're changing. Is Zoe's changing that. We're bringing simplicity and transparency to employee healthcare. Thank you very much.
No Israeli Insurtech presentation could be complete without the cybersecurity angle. So we bring you two. First up is Avi from Gamasec.
Hi, I'm Avi Bartov. I'm Gamasec CEO and co-founder. Now, let's see how cyber insurance can meet cybersecurity. No? We are providing a turnkey cybersecurity solution to insurance carrier. Our insurance carrier are integrating a cybersecurity solution for the SMB to their customer to prevent and to minimize loss ratio. To prevent the risk before it happened, that's exactly what we are providing. Why it is important? First, we are mitigating the risk before the customer have a problem. Secondly, we are minimizing the loss ratio for the insurance company, and we are providing intelligent data and risk score to the insurance carrier. More than 80% of all the cyber attack can be prevented. That's a huge number, and that's exactly what Gamasec is doing. Now, let's go with number. 21% of growth every year for the next year for cybersecurity for SMB market, the biggest growth of the insurance market. SMB, the biggest target, more than 64% of all the cyber attack against SMB. Why? Why SMB? Lack of personnel, lack of budget, lack of skill. Because of those three, they cannot compete with enterprise. Therefore, they are more open to be target to hacker. And 70% of all the cyber attack are done by external sources. Now, when C-level people been asked, what is your main preoccupation? What makes you not sleeping at night? 58% mention that suffering from a major data breach is the main concern of all C-level people in SMB company. Now, the insurance company, they have an issue. The first issue, they don't have enough data. Cyber is too young. They have 1, 2, 3 year data, cannot compare with the rest of the data analysis that insurance company have. Secondly, the cyber risk change constantly. The risk of yesterday are not the risk of today, and definitely not the one of tomorrow. Therefore, insurance company cannot predict the risk. If they cannot predict the risk, what they can do, they can prevent it. And that's exactly what Gamasec is doing. We are providing a cybersecurity solution in order to prevent the risk before it happens, by providing to the policyholder report that show them what kind of risk they have, what are the consequences if a hacker will take advantage of those risks, where the risks are located, and more important, what are the remediation that need to be provided in order to stop those risks. The second part that was very attractive to our insurance partner is the turnkey solution. Nothing to do, both for the insurer and the policyholder. The Gamasec solution is on board automatically as the customer purchases a cyber insurance. Gamasec model, business model, is that on every cyber insurance that our insurance partner are providing, we are getting a fee. Once the customer is on board and we've been paid by our insurance partner, we have the possibility to provide them premium service with an extra fee. Minimizing the loss ratio is not enough. Insurance company understood that insurance globally is a commodity. And in order to attract customer and to keep the customer in their field, they need to provide added value service to the insurance. And that's exactly what Gamasec is providing. We are already working with several insurance partners, and I will take 2 examples. One is Zurich Insurance in Canada. They are providing a 10% discount on their premium because our solution is integrated. And the second one is a UK part of the Lloyd insurance company called CNA that integrate our solution into their insurance services. We start our activity in 2020. Today, we have more than 4 insurance partners with more than 400 customers. A teamwork based with 2 gentlemen, Leo and Ziv, that are the technical people, and people from the industry that are providing us the support that we need in order to understand the insurance market. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure presenting today.
All right, last but certainly not least is cyber. Presenting is Naum.
Great. Does it play? There's no sound? Next. Hi, everyone. I guarantee you it was worth waiting till this late hour. So for those of you in the cyber insurance space, you're probably aware of the very unusual market dynamics. The cyber insurance sector is the youngest of all insurance industry. It is the fastest growing ever sector in insurance industry, and also at the same time is the sector with the most damages and the worst damages and the largest loss ratio in any part of the insurance industry. What happens as a result? The insurance providers, carriers, lose the risk appetite, decrease the coverage, increase the premiums, market failure. Something's got to change. And this is what we set out to do. The majority of cyber claims are a result of an insider risk, not a technological failure as such, but people's behavior. Cyber is going to provide a unified risk score for the entire organization based on the aggregated risk of employees in the organization. Our platform has no integration. It's a touchless solution, which would be providing absolute anonymity and preserve privacy of all employees in the organization, while solving that big mystery in cyber risk underwriting. Underwriters today are completely blindfolded when assessing that risk element. The benefits we provide is visibility. We remove the ambiguity from the risk assessment element in the underwriting process of cyber insurance. We would also provide a great competitive advantage for the early adopters that would take our solution and show their customers the better insurance premiums that they get, the larger extent of coverage that they can offer, and to the carriers upstairs, reduce of loss ratio. The market growth that is forecasted here today is based on yesterday's results. Take into consideration that we may very well be able to improve the situation in the market and decrease the loss ratio. This growth could actually be exponentially larger. The initial target market is in fact the small and medium enterprise. They sustain the most number of attacks. They are least capable of defending themselves. And for them, cyber insurance is an existential need. They cannot be very selective. There are 30 million such companies and over 70 million people in the United States employed in this sector. They would all undergo a assessment twice a year in order to understand the dynamics in the company under various environmental or organizational factors that influence the individual. We cater to the entire food chain of the industry, from the brokers to the customers and all the way up to the carriers and the reinsurance. The team I'm very proud of, we're all experienced veterans each in his sector and the expertise. We bring over 50 years of accumulated experience to solve this mystery of the human behavior. Our seed round that we are now actively seeking with $2.5 million that would accelerate our product and testing development. We would like to take advantage of the accelerator program we undertook in order to begin the go-to-market, establish the US entity, and expand our design partnership and early adopter program. Would be happy if you have cyber insurance in your investment portfolio and you would like to diversify and bring some inside the risk assessment to that, come talk to us. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Noam. So I want to take the time and thank everyone for coming out today. As you know, for those of you willing to stay, we have our event at 5:30, which is on integrating data to save lives. We have PNC topics, ESG topics, and life and health topics. But everything here today would not be possible if it wasn't for the generous support of our 7 insurance carrier and broker members. Beyond that, many of you sitting in the seats today are mentors or investor mentors, so really appreciate all of your help. And thanks to the startups for participating in the program and the cohorts this year. So thanks everyone for participating. Hopefully you can join us at 5:30. And final request is the startups that are still here, if you want to come up to the front for a group picture, please join us up front.